Yeah, that'll work.
To help pay for her travel.
Right. So the person who's jumping is not recruiting
Let me call
somebody
him.
else to do the jump for them. So if that person has been recruited, then that person should like there's a picture here.
Oh, they moved.
What did you want to say down there? Did you go somewhere and say?
Yeah, it's party. Testing. 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you. I'm going to power down until about 5 minutes. I don't know. I'm not bad. Fine.
So I didn't get to have like on the words. Picking at it. Just
So some days, like, if I'm over here,
yeah, that kind of true.
So, I don't know what this means.
Next day.
You know, so Sergeant Cookman's first radio.
Call them.
Bring it down. You want him up here now?
Some people. That was Yeah, I guess you want to do so many, most of them, the only one that I want will be. I am supposed to. Maybe brothers. Cousins and friends. I give it to.
All the way down. Is everybody squeezed down as far as they can go?
You're good. Oh, it's safe.
One, two, three.
All rise. The Stark County Court of Common Pleas is now in session. The Honorable Frank Forchione presiding.
Please be seated, everybody. Good morning. We are here on the sentencing of State of Ohio versus Joe. Those of you that have been here during the week and are here today, I've tried to each morning come down and talk to you and tell you a little bit about how the process works. Today we're here for the purpose of sentencing, and what's going to happen is I'm going to hear from the defense, hear from the State of Ohio. Then what I will do then is explain to you all the charges, what sentences they carry, my decision, and why I gave that decision. So I'm trying to do that as a courtesy to everybody here, as we've done all week. And the only thing I've asked, and you've been very good at, is this has been an emotional trial for a lot of different reasons. There's family members, friends. If we can keep those emotions in check today so that we can get through this process, and that would be great. Before we get started, Mr. Barr, is there something that you wanted to put on the record, I believe?
Yes, Your Honor. I have in my hand what's been marked as State's Exhibit 43, which is a certified copy of Mr. Go's conviction for burglary in case number 2016 CR 2241. I know counsel has stipulated to the authenticity and also to the identity of Mr. Go as being the person named in this entry, and I just want to mark this and add for the record for people.
Okay. That was stipulated to and accepted?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Go, last Friday on November 8th, 2024, you were convicted of 2 counts of murder, felonious assault, tampering with evidence, and gross abuse of a corpse. The 2 counts of murder and felonious assault each carry what are called repeat violator offenses, which were tried to meet the court, which then the court found you guilty on those 3 charges based on the evidence. Let's walk through each count and what they carry. Murder is an unclassified felony, which carries a sentence of 15 years to life. Felonious assault carries a minimum penalty of 2 to 8 years in prison with a maximum of 12 years. The repeat violator offenses permit that if certain parameters are met and the court finds a maximum prison sentence on specific charges are insufficient, it may order an additional 1 to 10 years. Tampering with evidence is a felony of the 3rd degree. It carries a penalty of 9 to 36 months in prison and or fine of $10,000. Gross abuse of a corpse is a felony of the 5th degree and carries a penalty of 6 to 12 months in prison and or fine of $2,500. Before we get started, I think the State of Ohio has indicated in the sentencing memorandum that the counts of count 2 of murder and felonious assault merge with count 1.
That's correct, Your Honor. We would be electing to proceed on sentencing on count 1, and those would merge with count 1. Yes.
For those of you who are out there, that's the Ohio law. So say where they're the same act, those all would merge under the first murder count. All right, let's start with the sentencing process. I'll start with the defense. Is there anything the defense would like to say, or the defendant, or anyone on his behalf?
Your Honor, on behalf of Mr. Go, we would just reiterate what we stated in our sentencing memo, and just to add that the repeat violent offender specifications, we argued that those would merge as well. And I do believe there's someone on behalf of Sean who would like to speak.
Okay. And I will let them, before we do this speaking, I just want to say again, your family members and friends have been touched by this. When you come up to speak, the idea is that you're addressing me about sentencing. We don't want anything that could inflame the situation or to get personal. The statements are to be made to me regarding sentencing. Who would you like to call?
Your Honor, his aunt Renee.
Okay.
Mother Renee.
Okay, this is his mother. Just come on up to the podium, ma'am. And, let me, right over there. Let me just kind of tell you, we're happy you're here, but you'll need to state your full name and spell your last name for the record, and then go ahead and give your statement. Okay?
Okay. My name is Renee Graham, Graham. I'm Sean's mother.
Okay, I know this is a painful day for you, so I'll let you Speak slowly, you take
Yes.
your time, okay?
Your Honor, before I continue, I would like to express my deepest and most heartfelt apologies to Rachel's family. I cannot begin to understand the pain and grief that you are enduring, and there are no words that can ease the hurt or bring back what has been taken from you. No matter the circumstances, no one should have to experience the kind of loss that you are facing, and my family and I are deeply sorry for the pain that my son's actions have caused. We love Rachel. She was a part of our holidays and weekly Sunday dinners for the last 3 years, and the absence of her at our table is heartbreaking, and she will forever be missed by us. I recognize the devastation that his choices have brought into your lives, and I will carry the weight of that sadness with me always. I can only hope that in time, you can find some measure of peace and healing. My thoughts are with you, and again, I am deeply sorry for your loss. I would also like to share some important context about my son's early years, which I believe are critical in understanding the person he is today. Before he came into our family, my son endured an incredibly difficult and traumatic childhood. He spent time in multiple foster homes, far more than any child should have to endure in such a short period. The instability, the uncertainty, and the emotional toil of being moved around so frequently had a profound impact on him. In addition to the upheaval of those constant moves, he also faced abuse and neglect in some of those homes, experiences no child should have to go through. These early years left deep scars on his spirit, and though we tried to provide him with a loving, stable environment after his adoption, the trauma he experienced before coming to us was something that would take years to heal. His birth parents struggled with addiction and mental health issues, and the pain of those experiences only compounded what he had already been through. It's no excuse for the choices he's made later in life, but it is an explanation for the pain and confusion he carried with him. The drugs that took a hold of him were a way of coping with the deep inner turmoil, and they led him down a path that has caused harm to himself and others. Despite all of this, my son has always had a kind heart. He was always the one to help others, especially the elder and children, and he always tried to be the person who made those around him feel valued and cared for. I believe in him. He is not defined by the mistakes he has made. He is someone who has faced unimaginable hardships and is still capable of healing and turning his life around. I ask the court for mercy and to recognize that my son is a person who is shaped by a history of trauma, but who also has potential to change. He deserves a chance to rebuild his life, and with the right support, I know he can become the person he was meant to be. Thank you.
Is there anything else you need to add? Okay, Steve, well, I didn't know how you wanted to proceed. I did read your sentencing memo. I didn't know if there were individuals who wanted to make statements or how you wanted to.
Yes, Your Honor, thank you. I have 3 folks who would like to make
Sure.
a statement, and just so the court knows, I've provided their names to the court
Thank you.
reporter so they don't
Oh,
need to spell
thank you
their
very
names.
much.
Sue?
That's would be easier for her to sit down with the mic or.
Oh, I think she'll be all right.
You'll be okay? No problem. Sue, you want to just state your name for the record?
Yeah, my name is Susan Morris. I'm Rachel's aunt. Hold on, I gotta get my readers on.
You take your time here, you take your time.
Okay, I'm Aunt Sue. I've known Rachel her whole life, from the precious moments we found out Lisa was pregnant. The pain Sean has caused us, or me, not to mention her mom, Dwayne, Jonathan, and many, many more, is unforgivable. I would ask you, Your Honor, to impose the maximum sentence with no possibility of parole. I'd be crushed if he got out and did this again to somebody else's little girl. Thank you.
Thank you for coming today. Good morning. You want to just state your name for the record, please?
Jonathan Gilliland.
Please proceed.
So, there's no amount of tears, shouting, drinking, smoking, or whatever vice that can be thought of that will be able to repay Sean in kind for what he's taken from us. Myself, my mother, Dwayne, her friends, and many others who knew Raychel not by her personage, but from her story and held sympathy. No amount of tears, shouting, pleading, good behavior, or the likes should be able to give Sean back to his family, or at least soon. However, on the bright side, at least his family will have the ability to see their loved one, to talk to interact with him once in a blue moon. At least his family will have the option to remain happy in life because he's still alive and well and not dumped in a garbage can. The fact that he gets to be alive and well despite what he's done, and the fact that his family gets to talk and see and interact, in my opinion, would be unfair and unjust. Because far more people than he knows no longer has the option for that for Raychel. He stated many times that he loved her. If he loved her, he wouldn't have hurt her the many times that he did in the past. He wouldn't have decided to take his own anger out on her for any reason, big or small. He wouldn't have done the many things that he did if it was love that he felt for her. He felt no love despite how much his heart or brain told him that he felt. He felt control and despair whenever she didn't listen or argued with him. He said he feels guilt and anguish for the very things that he's done because he knows it's wrong, yet he did it anyways, despite that love that he claims he felt. Now and forevermore, he has to live and deal with that guilt, experience it. When each and every day spent in prison be filled with some sort of reminder, because outside, where her friends and family are, the ones who truly love her, outside where we are, we will be reminded daily. In the sun, the flowers, the Jeeps that looked like hers, and the countless of other domestic violence cases that do not get resolved quick enough.
Okay, thank you. Is there a third speaker?
Yes, Your Honor.
Take your time.
I'm sorry.
Take your time. When no rush, you take your time. Can you just state your name for the record?
Raychel Sheridan.
Please proceed.
My fiance and I would like to give our statement.
Absolutely.
Sean, to begin, I would just like to say that you have hurt us more than anyone else could have. You have taken one of the greatest joys in our lives. She was a true sunflower in our darkest days. You have murdered our baby girl. My question is, why would you do this to someone that loved you, who wanted to help you through your own personal battles? She stood by you regardless of what you did to her. When you had no one else, she truly loved you. And just thinking of this makes me sick to my stomach. Truth be told, we had our own issues when she was growing up, but it made us stronger
There is no greater bond than that of a parent and a child. You brutally stole that from us. It won't bring Rachel back, but you have crushed all of our hearts. We won't be able to see her happily married. I used to smile, but you have taken all of that away. What you have done to us is truly evil. I hope that you spend the rest of your miserable life in prison. At least you are alive and your family will get to visit with you. I truly am so angry that I don't think I will ever be able to forgive you. And I hope that Jesus will.
Thank you.
No, Your Honor, but I would like to say something briefly. I want to thank the court for allowing these folks to express their feelings today. And this court knows me. I've been doing this a long time. And I've done a lot of these cases, probably a lot more than anybody else. But I've never seen one so brutal and so savage and so senseless as this crime, Your Honor. And I'm not going to rehash all the evidence. You've seen it, and I'm trusting you to impose the appropriate sentence, and I'm asking you to do that now. Thank you very much.
Thank you. In ordering a sentence on these convictions in which the jury and I have spoken, the Ohio legislature has made sentencing very complex. I'm going to be very honest with you. I think there's judges that don't even understand it. And I'm going to walk you through it as best as I can because I'm dealing with things called unclassified felonies, minimum sentence, maximum sentence, consecutive sentences. And someone once said, why don't you just give them blank amount of years? It's not like that. They give you certain parameters for each count. In doing so, there are certain considerations the court must contemplate and support on the record before issuing the appropriate sentence. Therefore, I'll outline these factors and apply them to the facts of the case. I've reviewed the parameters outlined in 29, 29, 11 through 17 of the revised code, including the seriousness of the offense and recidivism factors. I'll order a sentence that is necessary to protect the public from future crime and to punish Mr. Go. I must consider a sentence as not disproportionate to the level of the crime or the danger to the public. Mr. Go's history of criminal conduct is important and could demonstrate that consecutive sentences would be necessary for public safety. At least 2 of the multiple offenses were committed as part of 1 or more courses of conduct, and the harm caused by the 2 offenses was so great that no single term for any offenses committed adequately reflected the seriousness of the conduct. I've also taken into consideration Mr. Go's previous record of a violent crime. On January 11, 2017, he was convicted of burglary, receiving stolen property, and possession of heroin. He was sentenced to 4 years in prison. Falsification, carrying a concealed weapon, and criminal trespass on July 14, 2006, where he served 15 days in jail. Theft on March 2, 2016, where he served 10 days in jail and 2 years probation. More importantly, at the time of this incident, this murder, the defendant committed these offenses. There were 5 warrants for his arrest out of the Canton Municipal Court. 3 of the warrants were for burglary, a felony of the 2nd degree, theft of a firearm, felony of the 3rd degree, and criminal damaging filed on June 17, 2024. Additionally, there were 2 more warrants for domestic violence, misdemeanor 3, and criminal damage in M2 for a case that occurred on May 3rd, 2024. And it's important to note that in the latter case, Raychel Sheridan was the victim. In order for me to sentence, I have to talk about the facts of this case. And the family, you've been through so much. But I have to do this on the record to support what sentence I'm going to give. So I don't want you to think that I don't have empathy for you. I do. But I've been on this bench 17 years, and I agree with Mr. Barr. This is without a doubt the most brutal murder that I've seen. It was difficult up here even listening. It's appalling. It's heartbreaking. Raychel Sheridan was beaten so severely that the sheriff deputy who saw her body couldn't identify her based on her own photo. A hammer, or some type of instrument, was used that crushed a 3x2 inch hole in her skull, her upper jaw being broken into 2 places and pushed into her face. Her lower jaw was also fractured. The blunt force so devastating it collapsed her cranial cavity into her brain tissue. The coroner described a portion of her face virtually exploded. There was testimony from both the coroner and detective that this type of damage could not have been done by a fist, but required a serious violent impact, which they estimated at least 10 different injuries by blows. The coroner noted the cause of death was multiple blunt force injuries to the head. Then, in an attempt to cover up your cruel and cowardly actions, you then tampered with the evidence, using some form of bleach and other cleaning devices in an attempt to cover up your guilty trail. Your deceitful conduct was further exhibited when you were stopped by a police officer on videotape due to the fact that there may have been a warrant for you, but only, and I mean only, after you advised that Rachel's whereabouts were unknown. Instead of being worried or concerned, you ran. Your devious plan didn't stop there. Later at the Refugee of Hope, you attempted to secure a free bus ticket to leave town to cover up this dastardly scheme. The senselessness of this murder tells me not only are you morally bankrupt, but you have no fiber of decency. Displaying the lowest level for human life, you then wrapped the body in a sheet and dumped it in a park near Mother Goose Land. This is the person at one point you claimed that you were in love with. Instead, you threw her in the trash like a piece of garbage. The only thing that stopped you getting away from this crime, you almost pulled it off, was excellent work by the Canton Police Department, Stark County Sheriffs, and your own one fatal flaw, keeping Rachel's phone in your possession. I'm tired of people trying to blame everyone else for their problems in life. Everybody's had a difficult life in one way or another, so I don't find that your childhood excludes anything. We seem to live in an entitlement world for some reason. But I want to make sure you understand something, son. It is my job to protect this community, and I will do so. I will do everything I can to lock you up for a long, long time. It's obvious to me that I cannot rehabilitate somebody like you with such a disregard for human life. I will now announce the sentence. On count 1 murder, an unclassified felony, I sentence you to a definite sentence of 15 years to life. As I indicated, count 2 murder and count 3 felonious assault merge. As to the repeat violator offender, that's a little bit different. That's up to the court, and you can order a sentence of 1 to 10 years. I am ordering you to serve the period of 10 years consecutive, and that would be served prior to any other sentence that you will be serving. Tampering with evidence, you will serve a definite sentence of 36 months. Gross abuse of a corpse, you will serve a definite sentence of 12 months. So since this is complicated, I'm going to walk everybody through this so you understand. You'll serve 15 years to life on the murder charge. You will serve a mandatory 10 years on the repeat violator offender specification, which is consecutive. And that'll be served prior to the murder sentence. 36 months definite sentence on the tampering evidence and the 12-month definite sentence of gross abuse of a corpse. Both of them will be consecutive to the murder and repeat violator sentences. So in a nutshell, that's 29 years to life. Mr. Go, You sold your soul to the devil. I've ordered you to receive the maximum sentence on every count due to the fact that you deserve the maximum sentence. The reason the maximum consecutive sentences are being imposed because you committed the worst form of the offense. And there's a great likelihood you will commit a future crime. I can't help you. By sending you to prison, it brings the issues of what's called post-release control. If you were to violate the terms of adult parole authority, they can impose a prison term not to exceed 9 months. Multiple violations, a prison term not to exceed 1/2 of your original sentence. That's optional for 2 years under tampering and gross abuse of a corpse. You have the right to appeal my decisions. You have the right to appeal things that went on in the trial. Generally, we appoint somebody, as I indicated before, not your trial counsel, because you would have an argument of ineffective assistance of counsel that you could be waiving. Counsel, should I appoint someone? Yes. All right. We will appoint Cole Bond to that. The state, I separated the trials, count 4 burglary and count 6 grand theft. Do you have any idea of what you want done with those, or do you want to talk to
Could we set a pretrial for next Monday?
Yeah, we'll set a pretrial on that. I believe there's a violator offender registration that I need to read. Do we have that?
Yes, Your Honor, we do have that. It is not currently in
Okay, I'm not trying to be a smart aleck. Where is it?
our office.
Okay, could we do that at 1 o'clock then, and we'll put it on the record at 1 o'clock, everybody?
I can be here then.
Can we do that?
Yes.
Okay, we'll do it right at 1 o'clock. And that's just a form that anyone's convicted of a violated, that they have to sign, and I read on the record, and it takes about 10 or 15 minutes. So, I'll go to the state. Is there anything I missed or anything you want me to address that I haven't addressed?
I'm just assuming that defendant will be responsible for the cost of the proceeding.
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll put that in the entry cost of the proceeding. The defense, is there anything you want me to address?
Nothing further.
Okay. Again, those of you who came, I really appreciate the manner you handled yourself, and I hope that I was able to explain everything to you in a manner that you can understand it. That'll be all.
Thank you, Your Honor.